I think as crazy as this world is,
Yeah.
there is, I see more and more Christian CEOs, business leaders, starting to wade into that faith and work, businesses ministry, how they can start to use their business to affect change, and for our members, how they can really start to impact the kingdom.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it seems like maybe we better not talk about it and rather do that. But I see more and more organizations, at least, having that conversation, and I think that's it's an opportunity to really help them drill down and be like, this is what can happen.
Yeah.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, Interaction Media, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Folks, we're visiting today with Bruce Lane. Bruce is the leader of Convene here in West Virginia. Bruce, thanks for being on the show.
Appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Yeah, man. It's awesome to have you in the studio. Bruce, tell us a little bit about Convene.
Well, Convene's an organization where we bring business leaders, faith-based business leaders, business owners, Christian CEOs together. We do that to help them work on their business, not just in their business. We equip them, help inspire them, and really connect them to grow a great business, to become a higher impact leader, but really to integrate their faith into their business and into their professional lives.
Yeah, that's amazing, Bruce. Well, how did you get started in Convene? What led you into doing this, and how long have you been doing it for here in West Virginia?
Yeah, so I appreciate that question. How I got involved in it was about 10 years ago when I started doing some consulting work, and really got to a point after about 30 years of saying, how do I connect my faith in my work? You know, for the most 30 years, it was almost parallel where, you know, my faith was Sunday and my work was the rest of the week. And I started thinking about, is there a way to connect the two? And so through a series of events, started thinking about that and connected with Convene about 6 years ago, and really was able to figure out not only over those last 6 years about how to not just connect, but how to integrate my faith and my work, and had the opportunity to start to lead their organization efforts here in West Virginia to really take what I've learned and to help other faith-based businesses and leaders figure out how to integrate and do this.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great journey. Well, how did you get started in business to begin with? Like, what's your background?
So economics degree, and most of the times you don't go right into an economics job. So worked at a bank for a while in finance, and decided to get my MBA. Got my MBA in finance, and after my MBA, I realized I don't even like finance, right?
That happens a lot, though.
Right.
Yeah,
and so I actually went to a recruiting company, a financial recruiting company, to see if they could help me find a non-financial job. Didn't even think about that, right? Didn't even know what recruiting was. And they said, you know, you've got finance, you have some sales in your background. What about becoming a recruiter? And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And it's like what we do.
Yeah.
And it was about 1990, and it started my career really on the last 30 years of that before I got into Convene, 35 years on the people side of the business. So recruiting, development, leadership development, organization design, organizational clarity, all of that. So it's really been all that time on the people side of the business.
Yeah. So it's perfectly equipped you for where you're at now.
It has.
Because you're a licensed business coach, a certified business coach. Is that correct?
Yeah. ICF certified business coach. So I do coaching, I do consulting. And really trying to do that to help companies help their leaders flourish and their organizations thrive.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And having a background like that, it's not just like, hey, Convene came up and you're going to run a Convene. You got years and decades of experience doing exactly what
Trying to
you're
help
do.
organizations grow.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, and now you're able to integrate your faith component into it, which I think is super cool. What if you could tell us specifically, like when somebody becomes a member of Convene, your organization
Yeah.
here in West Virginia, what does that look like? How does it work?
Well, so when somebody becomes a member, it's really a couple different things. We've got a monthly peer group, and really that's for where we bring. If you picture a table, and members are sitting around the table, really having that opportunity to work on their business. To we like to say not just get their questions answered, but to get their answers questioned.
Yeah. That's
I
great.
think a lot of times we bring these leaders together because there's a lot of isolation. I know you've talked to a number of entrepreneurs that talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm the only one. It's very isolating. It can be. Leaders get to the point where what they try to do, they're in an echo chamber, right? So we bring leaders together once a month.
Convene
Again, together.
That's great.
To work. Yeah. And again, and when I say work on their business, it gives them an opportunity to maybe have a 10,000-foot view, but with their peers sitting around that table. And then that's, I think, the power of the peer group, whether it's a faith-based group or not, is you've got people sitting around the table that want what's best for you and your organization and challenge you to be the best leader you can be. Yeah. And so that's where
that's great.
The magic works. And many of those times for us at the end of our group, or at the end of that meeting, we've got an opportunity or challenge that somebody will bring to the table. And we spend the first part of that really challenging that person that brought it. Like, what's the issue? What's the issue behind the issue? Let's clarify. Yeah. And then we start, bringing what the leaders have, what they have from their experiences to the table to say, have you thought of this? What about this? And we add in, what does Scripture say? We even ask, what does your spouse say? Right. Which can kind of get a little,
exactly.
So that's one part of it. And then the second part would be executive coaching that I do with each of the individuals, where we drill down on what's important for them in their business and what they want to talk about.
Yeah. So I know you like to say, Bruce, that, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together, right? Go together with other people, right? And that's kind of what this is all about, really.
It is. It's
community, like-minded people.
Yeah. And the other saying is, like, for most people, life's better in community, right?
Yeah,
we were actually made to be in community. Yep. This is just a community of like-minded believers who are business owners or business leaders who, again, want to grow a really great business, but really want to do it and be able to integrate their faith.
I love it. Bruce, if you meet somebody for the first time and they say, what's Convene? Give them your 30-second pitch.
Yeah, that's what I would say. We help connect, inspire, and equip business leaders to build really great businesses, to become higher impact leaders while integrating their faith. And then there's a whole slew of questions about what that
Tell
means.
Tell me more.
There.
That's what you want to.
And so it's about a 12-second one, but I think the key is when you get down to it, what's the so what? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think the last time I checked, our national stats were 85% of Convene member companies outperform their competition.
Wow.
So it's the business side, right?
Yeah.
But I think what's even a better stat, 97% of members attribute transformation in their business, in their life, in their faith because of their Convene experience. So it's not just, hey, we want to grow a big business. It's what's that difference does it make in your life, and how are you going to be a better leader, a better person, a better spouse, a better whatever in your company because of your Convene experience.
I love it. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
At Freedom Kia, you'll find the perfect ride and savings for your summer adventures. This summer, dive into savings and fun. Just down the road is the Aquatic Center at Milan Park, where you can cool off and have some fun.
Find what you have been searching for in the 2024 Kia Telluride. Right now at Freedom Kia of Morgantown, qualified buyers can save $2,500 on the 2024 Kia Telluride. For your next new Kia, look no further than Freedom Kia exit I-79, exit 153, Morgantown.
Folks, we're visiting today with Bruce Lane. Bruce runs Convene here in West Virginia. It's a faith-based organization for business owners, entrepreneurs, and faith-driven people. So,
Exactly.
Bruce, what would you say is the thing you're most excited about for your organization, Convene, right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think as crazy as this world is, there is, I see more and more Christian CEOs, business leaders, starting to wade into that faith and work, businesses ministry, how they can start to use their business to affect change, and for our members, how they can really start to impact the kingdom. And in some ways, it seems like maybe we better not talk about it and everybody do that. But I see more and more organizations at least having that conversation. And I think that's it's an opportunity to really help them drill down and be like, this is what can happen.
Yeah. Kingdom impact, eternal perspective. That's kind of like the slogan of Convene.
Exactly.
And Convene is an international organization. And Bruce, you're connected not just here in West Virginia, but you're connected across the country and even internationally.
Yeah. That's we not only have member chapters in locally where people meet in person, but we've also over the last couple of years have online groups. And so we can meet with people anywhere in the United States. And some of the online groups have people international. We've got a couple groups in China. I think we've got a group now in South Africa. So it's a movement that it's not just local, it's not just national, but it's international.
So your group here in West Virginia, you're based out of Morgantown.
Yep.
But you have folks coming from a couple of different states.
Yeah,
now.
I've got Western Maryland, Southwestern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It seems like here in West Virginia, anybody that needs to get somewhere, you're willing to drive an hour and a half. So we've got people that do that, but they do that month in and month out because of it's an opportunity to again to get together and to build community.
Yeah. And I want to be clear and forthcoming in full disclosure, Bruce, that I am actually in your Convene group here in West Virginia.
You are?
And I think I was one of the founding
you
members.
Were one of the OGs.
The OG, yeah, that's great. And Bruce, I could just say that, one of the things that I think and find most valuable in the group that you're leading is the connectivity, the community. I actually have some of my closest business associates are in our Convene chapter. Yeah. And even some of the past members that have gone on to do different things still have a very close relationship with, value those relationships. I'm
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think that the other thing that's neat about that, because I've seen it with you is how you've, through Convene, been able to connect with people outside our group, but part of that whole overall Convene community to help you figure out some, hey, I'm thinking about this or whatever. And it's like, hey, we've got experts in California and whatever, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Just last year when we were launching StoryMaker, our software as a service application, you connected me with a guy who that's what he does. He builds and sells and launches SaaS applications. And I was like, man, I would never have had that
And he had a couple of good questions, right?
Oh,
it's
okay. Here's a couple of benchmarks. Yeah. Yep. So I'm grateful for that. So since you've been in Convene, what are some of the things, maybe it's one thing that sticks out to you is like, that is incredibly interesting. And I'm so glad that I got to witness that. Anything come to mind?
Well, I just think it's, we talked about those stats.
Yeah.
It's really seen transformation
Yeah.
of individuals and growth of our Convene organizations. That if it weren't for Convene, I'm not sure they'd be where they are today.
Yeah.
And they've told me that.
Yeah.
And maybe as important of that is their spouse would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some of the members, get in, and it's kind of like, why are you spending money on that? What are you doing? Whatever. But within a couple months to a year, the spouse is like, their spouse is like, that should be the first check you're writing because it's made you a better person.
Yeah. I can attest to that personally.
Yeah. So I think it's the transformation of the individuals and their organizations.
Yeah. It reminds me of February 2020. You did a devotion in our Convene meeting, and it was about, what will we do in a downturn in the economy? And the very next month, the pandemic hits, and we're sitting there all wondering, like, how are we going to get through this? Well, we had a cohort in our Convene group that basically said, hey, how are you guys doing? What are you doing to get to manage, people not being able to come into your business,
right.
whether you're a retail store, a restaurant, or a hotel. And it was just amazing to see like all the creativity and the wisdom that was being shared within that group,
right.
just to get through a situation like that.
Have you thought of this? What about
exactly.
that? Yeah. And yeah, remember that, because some of the people's like, what are we going to do? And then it's like, here's what we're going to do. And I don't think any of them missed a beat.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm right there with that, because I was part of that group as well back in those days. You mentioned business is ministry. Talk a little bit about that. What does that mean to you?
Well, to me, it's, if I'm integrating my faith into everything I do, then how am I using my business? How can I help people use their business to impact God's kingdom, to ministry? And that can be, what are we doing to serve people?
Yeah.
What are we doing to help our own employees? Part of the deal is, if we're not growing, if we're not making, our business isn't where it needs to be, and we're losing money, or we have to lay people off, it doesn't just affect the employee. It could affect the employee's family. It could affect your other clients. It could affect your vendors. It could affect all of those. So, we want to make sure that that's ministry, right? How are we stewarding our business well so that there's some longevity into that? But it's really taking a look at it and saying, if this is my ministry and this is what God's called me to do, then how can I make that impact?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think to me, that's one of the most important things we can do.
And you mentioned stewarding, and it kind of stems, I believe, from a belief that is rooted in, this is my business. No, it's God's business. We're here to steward it and shepherd the people, and not in a way that's just all about, you got to have profit.
Right.
You got to grow and all those things. You got to, be financially secure and all those things, but you can also do the ministry side.
I don't know who said it, but without margin, there's no mission, or there's ministry, right?
Exactly.
And so
that's right.
We want to make sure we're helping companies make a lot of money to do more ministry, but making sure, helping them understand that who's the rightful owner of their business. Yeah. And I think when owners, CEOs, when they get that right, when they realize that, hey, I'm the president of this organization, but God's the one who owns my business. Yeah. In some ways it's freeing, but in other ways it's like, okay, if God's the owner of the business, how am I going to lead it? How am I going to run it? What am I going to do? Where am I going to use profits and all that? Yeah. And so, I think it's still probably, people talk about servant leadership, right? Yeah. And I'm all for that. Yeah. But I think it's like, man, if we kick that up a notch and we talk about steward leadership, it's a game changer.
It's a game changer. Yeah. I love it. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
My name's Caitlin Furby. I'm an interior designer with Remarkable Interiors. Our time is very limited. We're trying to do everything we can possible to keep our clients' projects moving and rolling. So StoryMaker has been really great for us for putting out how to explain our company. I can sit and agonize about a post and is this right? Does this sound good? When I use StoryMaker, it sounds so beautiful and it was so easy and it saves me a lot of time to do the things that I'm really good at.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Get reliable, fiber-powered 500 megabits internet for $39.99 per month with a $100 gift card and price lock guarantee, plus a free modem, free installation, and free Wi-Fi your way. Folks, you know, here at Interaction Media, we're a media company, and we rely on high-speed internet every single day to get our jobs done. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, it's fast, and they're awesome people as well. Learn more at breezeline.com. Folks, we're visiting once again with Bruce Lane. Bruce is the leader of Convene here in West Virginia. He's got an online group as well as an in-person cohort group. Bruce, you know, how do you get the word out about Convene and attract new people?
Yeah, it's not as easy as I thought, right? I think I said earlier, I cut my teeth in recruiting, so I'm like, this is going to be easy. We do it a number of ways. Most of them is referrals, because like-minded people want to refer people that into a group where they've had success. You know, it's interesting. You take an area of, hey, here's the type of companies I'm looking for. Then you break it down into those companies that are led by Christian CEOs or business owners, and then see the value of the peer group. And if they've never been in a peer group, then they don't see the value. So part of it is more conceptual and helping them understand it and taking time and walking with them and inviting them to just see, see how it is.
Yeah. The other thing I think that just add into that is is the coaching that you get. You know, Bruce, you're a certified business coach. You've been around the block. You've got an MBA. You've got tons of wisdom and seen a lot of things. But being even professional athletes at the top of their game, and MVPs and Hall of Famers have coaches.
Everyone does.
And so one of the things I didn't realize, being a business owner, is that I needed a coach too. So I think that one-to-one coaching that you get, in addition to the peer group and the community, when you put the two. I mean, I have at minimum 2 meetings with you a month. And hours and hours and hours of just spending time working on the business, not just in it.
Well, and I've got a coach as well, right? And so I get stuck.
Who's the ultimate coach?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I think I know. Yeah.
But I get stuck on things, and I'll be talking to my coach, and he'll say something. I'm like, that sounds like a question I would ask one of my coachees or my clients.
That's
and
right.
so,
that's right.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I think many times owners, CEOs, they're for leadership development, but it's more for, if they're going to spend money on it, it's going to be for their team, for their people.
Yeah.
I think it was John Maxwell, right? Everything rises or falls on leadership, right? Or I don't know if he said or somebody else, when the leader's not healthy, the organization's not healthy, right?
That's right.
So part of that is really helping individuals understand that if you're going to spend money on leadership, start with yourself. Do something, because the better you are, the better you can become. The better you are for your team, your family, and I think that's just a challenge, because whether it's time or money, which I think is probably are the two objections everybody hears in business, there's something really to be said about how am I developing myself so that I can be healthy for my organization.
Yeah, in terms of growing your business, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now, Bruce?
I think it's that. I think it's helping them understand their need for that, and for leadership, helping them understand. It's painting the picture. So it's finding the right individuals who could or should be in the group, and then painting the picture to say this is what it is, and then leaving it up to God to be the one to say, hey, here's the right time. I've talked to people for 6 years since I've been in it that I think should be in it. They're not. I can talk to somebody and they're like, is the meeting tomorrow? I'll be there. Yeah. So I don't know, but it's really that. I think that's one of the challenges. And then I think another challenge is to just maybe getting out in front of that too, and really helping leaders connect that faith and work.
Yeah.
Where I was 10 years ago with a parallel track, everything was good,
but it was a disconnect.
Yeah, and then it was connected, and over the last couple of years, it's how it's integrated.
Yeah,
right now, you're coloring it in.
Exactly. So, one of the things that I hear you say often is, is the word culture, right? And we hear culture, and what does that mean? But you often say, culture eats strategy for lunch, right? And so you could have this great strategy, but if you don't have a good culture, that doesn't work. But if you have a great culture, but you don't have a strategy to win, that doesn't work. But you're kind of bringing the two together.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if that was Warren Buffett or probably not. It was I can't remember.
I attribute Bruce Lane.
Yeah. Somebody said, but I think it's true. And I think a lot of times for entrepreneurs, right, we get excited about what we want to do and we start a strategy and that. But as a company, what will your culture support, right? And I take it back with companies I do consulting with for org design and organizational clarity. Start with culture, start with your values, then how does the strategy work with that? Yeah. And then let's look at the talent to drive the strategy. And then how do we teach, train the talent, to execute?
Yeah. And if you're a faith-driven entrepreneur, somebody who is, at the core, has that center, right? Your faith, and you're struggling, like, how do I integrate that into my business as an entrepreneur? Is that even legal to do, right? And these are the things that Convene helps you kind of find that process, if you will, or that mechanism to say, here's how we can integrate our faith into our business, and using our business as ministry.
And I think it's a balance, right? Because every owner's got a different type of a company. Some it's private, it's small, they can do whatever they want. Other leaders are, presidents of a manufacturing firm or a larger company where they want to be able to do that, but can they do it, right? And so we help them with, what could that look like? What could a first easy step be? You don't have to do everything at once, and, we're inviting people to prayer groups. What's just the next thing you want to do? How could it start? And it's pretty creative how companies are that run their business as a ministry.
Bruce, what is your vision long term for your groups that you're leading here in West Virginia? Yeah,
I mean, I would love to. I mean, it's always about adding the right next person. Having a seat. Maybe at some point having an in-person group in Southern West Virginia. Maybe venturing up into the Pittsburgh area. Convene doesn't have anything up there. But I think as much as it is to continue to grow from a breadth, it's continuing to go deep, continuing to serve the members well, and really connect, help them connect that faith into their personal, professional lives. It's interesting because I'm the leader of this group, but as somebody said 6 months ago, it's like, really, as these leaders, we can't be the sage on the stage, right? It's not about me. We're more like the guide on the side that helps facilitate growth, because even in the executive coaching world, I don't own your issue. You own it. You're the one who has to work through that. My goal is to help you facilitate and ask questions about how you can do that well.
Yeah, and most of the time, the answer lies within us. Well, you just help
it is kind of unlock it or shake it up a little bit.
Yeah. Wow, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, exactly. That's good stuff. And I like to say, I do mission work, but I'm not in Ethiopia or Guatemala or Honduras. I'm doing my mission field here is in Star City, West Virginia.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the way I look at it. And I would encourage others to seek that out. Bruce, you're a great business leader. You're a leader at Chestnut Ridge Church, the executive pastor, also currently at that church, and you see a lot of leadership, throughout your day, right? And you're surrounded by leaders. What do you think is the most important attribute of a successful leader in business today?
I think it's I think those that are successful lead out of their purpose. I think too many times, and it's happened to me as I've moved up the food chain of an organization. There wasn't alignment. Wasn't alignment with who I was, what I did, what I wanted, but I thought it was the next right thing. And so maybe really going back and understanding your purpose, which I say is answering 4 questions for yourself. What am I good at? What am I passionate about? What does the world need? And what can I get paid for?
Yeah.
Spend time on that.
Easy stuff, but
well,
hard.
It's not, but if you, and it's almost like, it's like, 4 Venn diagrams, and you're kind of coming to try to get as close as you are to that.
That's that sweet spot.
Once you hit that sweet spot where this is what I was made for, I think God makes us for a purpose. He makes us on purpose. Yeah. So once we get that, then we can lead out of that. But if I'm not working out of my purpose, I'm generally not a good leader because I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I'm all of those things. So, again, there's always things to be better as a leader, but that's where I start.
I love it. That's awesome stuff. Bruce, if you could say something in terms of advice to an entrepreneur out there, a small business owner here in West Virginia, maybe in Pennsylvania, maybe they're over in Maryland or elsewhere listening to this podcast, what would you say to them as entrepreneurs and business owners, or even somebody wanting to start a business?
Yeah, I would say too, maybe piggybacking on what I just said, start with your purpose. Does what you're looking to do align with that?
Yeah.
And really, because if it doesn't, over time, entrepreneurship's hard. Yeah. We know that, right? Yep. Over time, if we're not anchored to that purpose, A, we can drift, but B also is then with a motivation, right? Okay, why am I doing this? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because it's my purpose. It's what I was called for. And sometimes we don't know that, right? Sometimes we make mistakes. We get it. We can help. But if it's not aligned to purpose, it's at a minimum, it's going to be tougher than it needs to be. Yeah. And it might get to the point where you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah. That's great stuff, man. Appreciate that. Bruce, we've covered a lot in this interview. Is there anything else you think our listeners should know about Bruce Lane's story or Convene?
Well, I think those are some really good questions. We started with, if you want to go fast, go alone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we said, hey, if you want to go far, go together. I would probably add to that, if you want to go the distance, be part of an organization like Convene.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, it's very important to go together. But at the end of the day, what has God called you to? How does he want you to steward your business well? And to get where you're going, having a group that you can count on, that they can count on, that will help you get to where you feel God's calling you.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I appreciate that. Bruce, as we close up our time, how can our listeners learn more about you and get plugged in to Convene?
Yeah, it's great. So they can go to convenenow.com. CONVENENOW.com. If they want to learn more about me, they can put a / and do Bruce Lane. It comes up to my page.
Cool.
And learn a little bit about me and Convene, and love to talk to you.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll make sure we have links to that all in the show notes for the program, and also on social media. Our guest once again has been Bruce Lane with Convene. Bruce, it's been an honor to have you on the show. My friend, my coach, and you're my partner, man. You're in my inner circle. So I appreciate you and what you're doing out there. I think it's amazing. It's God's work, and I want to encourage you to keep up the great work too.
Appreciate it. Again, thanks for the invite, and
absolutely,
we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positively.wv.com/sponsor.
Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. We appreciate your support. sharing these episodes on your social media, and we appreciate your encouragement along the way as well. That's pretty fun to see that every day. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Hampton Hill, behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.